How you guys doing today? Good. My name is Mike Geller, and I have a company called Mike's Organic Delivery. So I want to talk to you guys today a little bit about some of the experiences I've had that got me to where I am now, about local food, local farming, and how our food's grown. So like all of you guys, I went to Greenwich Country Day. I graduated in 1995, which makes me old. And after Country Day, I went on to high school, went on to college, and then went out into the real world, which is a scary place. So I spent a bunch of time, I did a bunch of different really cool things. I was in the music industry. I ran an advertising agency. I did a bunch of different stuff, did big celebrity events, did a lot of cool things. Never did anything I really loved, never did anything I was really passionate about. So after about 10 years, I quit. And I actually went and spent about 3 months living in the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, which I'll get to in a second. But what we do, what Mike's Organic Delivery is every week we go to about 15 different small local farms. We pick up all different types of food, fruits and veggies, beef, pork, chicken, lamb, cheese, eggs, honey. We bring it back to our location. I have a warehouse in Stanford. We pack everything up and deliver it to people in their homes. So all these farms we go to are either certified organic or sustainable. So not using any chemicals, they're not using any carcinogenic sprays, antibiotics, hormones. All the animals are outside in the grass. It's awesome. And the farmers are amazing people. So the way I kind of got into this, believe it or not, is after I had this whole kind of time in the corporate world, I had enough. I didn't want to sit under fluorescent lights anymore. I didn't want to be at a computer. So I went and I spent about 3 months in the Kalahari, like I said. So I got there, and I was helping to build a photographic safari camp. So it was just myself and 3 Zimbabwean guys out in the middle of the bush, middle of nowhere. I had to hunt for all of our food. So before we went out into the bush, we went to a supermarket in Mountain, Botswana, which has about 150,000 people. And I walked into the supermarket, and I'm kind of walking down the aisles. I had to buy things for the trip, like, you know, some canned stuff, some produce, what have you. And I got to the produce aisle. And I looked at all the stuff on the shelves, and everything looked better than it does here. And I had a hard time, you know, typical, like, kind of arrogant American, right? I was like, you know, we're America, we're the best at everything. And I started looking at everything, and the tomatoes were like about this big and a little green still. And when I eventually ate them, I sliced them, and juice was all over the plate. The eggs weren't refrigerated because when a hen lays an egg, she puts a protective coating over the egg. Otherwise, there'd be no chickens because she's incubating it. If it had to be refrigerated, it would spoil. Here in this country, we scrub and wash all the eggs in the supermarkets. They have to be refrigerated. In Africa, they don't. So I started looking at all these things, and I really just sat there for about a minute or two, and I said, why is this? So then I went out into the bush. I had this amazing experience. Maybe another time I'll tell you guys, but I got charged by a leopard. I almost got bitten by a cobra. I was in a plane that lost an engine. I mean, I had a really amazing experience. And I came back, and I knew I wanted to do something outdoors. I knew I wanted to do something that I loved and was passionate about. So I came back, and I started working on a farm called Stone Barns, which is not far from here. It's in Pacantico Hills, near Tarrytown. And I worked for the head farmer. His name's Jack. And they knew I just come back from Africa. So, like, basically I was like, listen, guys, anything, you want that tree cut down? I was like, give me an axe. I got it, dude. Done. Or, like, they're like, climb 20 feet up that apple tree and prune it. And I was like, zoop, up the tree. Done. So I just started learning and embracing this whole sustainable kind of farming culture. And at the time, I was formulating the idea for my business, and there was a young farmers conference. So 300 farmers under the age of 35 years old. And everyone's in great shape, you know, it's a 3-day seminar. So I walk in, true story, the first morning, and there's a long table, kind of a farm table. And they had breakfast, so I grabbed some food, and there's a guy sitting there. And I'm a friendly guy, so I walked over, sat down next to him, started talking to him, introduced myself. And I said, oh, what do you do? And he said, actually, my family owns one of the largest organic farms in the Northeast. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, this is amazing. This is exactly the guy I want to be sitting next to. So I was there to meet farmers to work with. So I said, well, actually, that's really cool. Like, I'm actually starting this, you know, delivery service. This is 4 years ago. I'm actually starting this delivery service, and, like, I want to work with local farms. And I told him my idea, and he looks at me, and he goes, yeah, it's not going to work. So I looked at him, and I said, why? And he goes, well, we tried that. You know, we went to the city. We did that. We delivered to people, but they didn't really get it. They didn't understand the produce, and everything was wilted. But good luck. He stands up, and he walks away. So I'm sitting there for, like, a minute, and I felt almost, like, sick. And this is, like, what I want my life to be about. And after about a minute, I sat there and I said, you know what, forget this guy. I was like, I know what I want to do. I believe in it. I know it's a good idea. So I kind of like dismissed it. So a week or two later, I start calling farms. No one wants to work with me. I didn't know why at the time, but it's just, farmers grow a certain amount for certain people. So I called this one farmer. Her name is Amy Hepworth. And I call her up. She picks up and she says, I say, hey, Amy, this is Mike from Mike's Organic Delivery. And she goes, and? I was like, and I'm starting a local delivery service. I'd like to work with you. And she goes, well, we're very busy right now. We're planting. But maybe if you come up on April 5th around noon, maybe we'll see you for 10 minutes. She goes, you can get my address offline. Click, hangs up on me. So I'm like, all right. So I go online, not discouraged. I do a little research. I find the address. I go. I get there at about 12, and the day before I called Amy's sister, Gail, who also runs the farm with her. And she said, meet us by the greenhouse at noon. Okay, so I drive, and it's an hour away. I've never been there. It's on a dirt road. So I pull in. She's like, make a left. I go somewhere. I'm by what I think is a greenhouse. I'm waiting there, 12, no one, 12:15, 12:30, no one. So if I call her and I say, hey, Gail, I'm here. And she goes, where are you? And I said, I'm by the greenhouse. And she goes, what's it look like? And I was like, I don't know. I described it. And she's like, that's not a greenhouse. That's a high tunnel. You have no idea what you're talking about. She was like, you're wasting. I'm like, all right. I was like, can you come meet me? So 30 seconds later, she comes screaming over the hill on an ATV. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, and she's like, she kind of like starts yelling at me. It's like, you don't know what you're doing. You're wasting our time. And I was like, Gail, look, I just drove an hour and a half to meet you guys. I was like, can we go? And she calms down. We go up. I ended up spending about an hour sitting with Amy and Gail. And we had this amazing conversation. And I think that immediately they saw my enthusiasm and my excitement about what I was doing and what they were doing. And it really was the beginning. They become now my best, by far my biggest supplier. I went to Gail's wedding. She's been to my birthday. We become like family. And what it taught me was about adversity, in certain ways, and also believing in yourself and what you're doing. And more importantly, it's taught me so much about local food and local farming. And, our agriculture industry has changed so much in the last 10, really 20 to 30 years, where we don't grow things the way we used to. It used to be small family farms. People grew a bunch of different things, and that's what they grew and what they sold. Now, the entire thing has changed. We do something called monocropping, which means we grow 5,000 acres of corn on a farm instead of growing 400 kinds of different fruits and veggies or whatever. And it's really changed so much, and it's really impacting your generation a lot, because I'm not going to ask you to raise hands, but I would be willing to bet that there's plenty of you that have allergies to different foods. And when I was a kid, when we were kids, there were really far less food allergies. Eggs and wheat and all these things now that are really big allergies we never had. And that is, in a way, a result of many things, but also our food system changing. And what makes you guys so fortunate is that you have an amazing kitchen here. And Paul and Mark and everyone in the kitchen, they're sourcing from local farms. Like when you guys eat apples, those are from Hepworth Farm. Those are from Amy Hepworth that yelled at me all those years ago. And the ground beef you get from a different farm that I work with, and they're also working with many other local farms. And it's so important for you guys, because as you grow, things like antibiotics, things like hormones, carcinogenic sprays, chemicals, they're really bad for you, especially as you're developing, the age you guys are at now. And it really makes a big difference in kind of how you grow, how you act, your energy, all these different things. So the three things I kind of want to lead you guys with are, first thing is adversity. Embrace adversity. In your life, you're going to face challenges. It's a guarantee, whatever it might be. And if you rise to the challenge, when things are good, it's very easy to be happy and positive and nice. But when things are hard is when you really find out who you are as a person. And that's one of the most important things I can say is embrace adversity, embrace challenges. If I hadn't, a million other things before I started my business, I never would have done what I'm doing now. The second thing is do something you're passionate about. Do something you believe in, you feel strongly in, whether it's your job, whether it's, a sport or whatever it is. Just like you saw with Helen, she was passionate about hockey, and that brought her to where she is. And when you're passionate about something, especially your job, you never work, and it sounds like a cliche, but you always wake up happy, and I do now. After years of doing really cool things and hanging out with Shaquille O'Neal and all kinds of stuff and not being happy. And the last thing is, really learn as much as you can about your food. I know some of you guys maybe cook or watch, Chopped or Top Chef or these different shows, but really the way we grow our food and the way that we're raising it, all these different things, like there's 1 million pigs on the largest farm in this country. 1 million pigs. They're not, the way that we're raising our food is not sustainable. And the more you learn about your food, whether it's, go check out a farm. If you guys ever want to visit a farm, I'd be happy to email me. I'll give you info on farms you can visit. start a little garden at your house, even if it's 4 by 4 feet and you grow 3 tomato plants. You know, to grow something, to plant a seed, to watch it grow, to harvest it, is something that as human beings we've been doing forever, right? Or, you know, go to a farmer's market or support local farmers, but they're the people that really care a lot about you. And the more you learn about your food, the more you'll be able to put good things in your body, and the happier you'll be and the better you'll be. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you.